So this is what it looks like to give a speech. I confess, I've never done this before. My job usually ends when I click print. So thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Dean Gleed, faculty, families, friends. As exciting as this is, the bagpipes. It's like a total bucket list thing. Now I can check it out. But I'm really excited to be here, mostly because I remember how much fun this day is, and you guys have already not disappointed, so I think we're going to have a good time. Congratulations to the class of 2015. As Jessica said, I was sitting where you are as a public policy graduate just 7 years ago, which brings me to my first piece of advice. Stay out even later with your friends tonight. If you already did that last night, and I know that some of you did, do it again. Because with respect to your professors, the friends you've made here will be what lasts you longest. By the way, give it up for your professor. But I can tell you from experience that you will have so much fun watching what your fellow students do from here. You will see their names in the paper, sure, but more importantly, you will see their updates from the trenches. In schools, on the streets, from secluded corners of the world, everywhere that begs for people willing to do what we do, the hard work of change. It will make you proud. Like Jessica said, you will say, I knew them when. And it happens sooner than you think. It will confirm something. You made the right choice. Public service is important. It matters. Parents, your kids made the right choice. Public service is important. So thank you. And while today might feel bittersweet, and it is, the best stuff is still coming, I promise. 4 years ago, I met a wonderful woman at the White House, and 3 nights ago here in New York City, she agreed to marry me. She's here somewhere hiding under the seat. I can't see. There she is. One of her team's many responsibilities at the White House, by the way, is to fact-check my team's speeches. So she is the envy of partners everywhere. She literally gets paid to tell me I'm wrong. But get ready, she did not fact-check this speech. I do admit I underestimated how hectic a proposal would make the last few days, so I had to finish the speech yesterday on a bench in Union Square Park. I have written in stranger places, but they're usually fewer strangers yelling at me while I do. But it's true, I am President Obama's speechwriter, so who knows what on earth he is saying today. I did ask his advice for this, though. And he said, why don't you try something new for you? And keep it short. But even though this is my first commencement, over the years I've studied hundreds of them. I've drafted or edited more than a dozen, and I've come up with all manner of life lessons and cliches. What makes my task easier today is that you already know them. I don't have to spend time trying to convince you to serve others, or to hitch your wagon to something bigger, or to change the world, because you already made those choices when you chose the School of Public Service. You have chosen a calling that is fundamentally hopeful, because it's filled with people who actually believe we can change the world. Also, I don't have a lifetime of wisdom to offer you. There is a solid chance that I'm the first commencement speaker in history to be 3 months removed from living in a group house. And I have no idea what I'll be doing a year and a half from now when my boss has to hand over the keys to the White House. All I have on most of you is a head start. So all I can offer you is the cheat codes, how I got here, and what I've learned by giving the time of my life to public service. When I moved to Washington right out of college, I knew one person, a fraternity brother teaching elementary school. So when it came to finding a job, I was on my own. I figured I went to a good college, I've seen every episode of The West Wing, how hard could this possibly be? Well, several failed interviews, and dead ends later, my ego was dust. And just when I was rethinking the whole thing, I saw a posting for an unpaid internship in Ted Kennedy's office. In him, I saw someone who got things done, and who cared about the people that I cared about. So I called his front desk and asked for his chief of staff, because obviously that's the way things work in Washington. And I was quickly transferred to an annoyed intern coordinator who hired me over the phone on the spot. Not because I was super awesome, but as she would tell me several months later, it was 5 p.m. on a Friday and she just wanted to go home. But I showed up on Monday morning in my $150 power suit, ready to make a name for myself. was one of 50 interns, and I was assigned to a windowless mailer. But I threw myself into it, reading and routing mail, walking the senator's dog, Sonny and Splash, running memos to and from the Senate floor, whatever the job required. And 3 months later, I was hired to answer phones in the front office and greet visitors for the princely sum of $18,500 a year. I lived with 3 guys and 2 girls in a group house, and we drank cheap beer. Life was actually pretty good. Over the next few years, I moved up the ranks and eventually gained a small legislative portfolio of my own. I got to go to the Democratic National Convention in Boston and found myself on the floor the night a man named Barack Obama introduced himself to the country. I even got an unexpected entree into speechwriting when my boss, who usually wrote Senator Kennedy's policy speeches, had too much on his plate one day and asked me if I wanted to give it a try. And that one led to a few more. Then, like a lot of people who aren't sure what to do with their life, I went to public policy school. And towards the end of my first year, a former colleague from the Senate introduced me to Senator Obama's chief speechwriter. Now, the campaign had just started, we were a few months in, and he was swamped and alone, which made him desperate enough to hire me, someone with 5 speeches under my belt, as his unpaid intern. So 4 years after my last internship, I was the lowest guy on the totem pole again. And again, I threw myself into it, doing whatever the job required. I have no formal training as a speechwriter, to which critics of the president's speeches would say, duh. But I had a facility with the written word, and what I lacked in skill, I tried to make up for with heart. And when the chief speechwriter had too much on his plate and needed someone to step up, I made sure I was ready. Now, the truth is, I have been really lucky in my career. You know, I wish I could tell you that my story was entirely self-made, that it included crushing failure, followed by a Rocky IV-style montage of moving to a mountain cabin, growing a beard, teaching myself how to write speeches from scratch while a monster ballad played in the background. But any successful person who tells you that luck hasn't played a role in their career is lying to your face. Now, you can improve your odds of getting that lucky break. Work your tail off, be the last person to leave the office at night, actually appreciate being part of a team rather than acting like you do. Don't just embrace, but enjoy being surrounded by people who are smarter than you. And be nice. As it turns out, people notice these things. They reward you for them. Now, it's not to say you can't succeed by being insufferably brazen and overeager and narcissistic. I do work in Washington. And letting your ambition run wild is actually a pretty effective tactic. It's just less fun to live with yourself. So in my book, success is the place where hard work meets luck. But I know that get lucky isn't great guidance, although I do hope you all get lucky. She got it. So with my remaining time, based on what I've learned along the way, I humbly offer 2 pieces of advice that hold true, regardless of whether luck finds you or not, and they might even take you to a better place. The first is this. Remember that the career path you've chosen is not about you at all. Now, it's kind of implicit in the words public service, but I didn't get it until I worked in that windowless mailroom back in the Senate. In there, I learned that politics is not about sexy walk and talks, power lunches, or using witty banter to solve the world's problems in an hour. With each envelope I opened, which each of the hundreds of letters and phone calls a day from people desperately asking a senator who was not their own for help, with each perfect stranger's private hopes and pains laid bare across the page, I learned how deeply policy, politics, and public service matter. I learned that my job was no longer about me or my future. So when President Obama took office and took us along with him, he asked his correspondence staff to start getting in 10 letters a day from ordinary Americans. And as a speechwriter, I get to read those letters too. Now, they really are a representative sample. Some of them are quite mean. Some of them are nice. Some are about specific issues, and it wouldn't surprise any of you to know that a lot are about the unfairness of student loan debt. But most of them are from ordinary people who work really hard and do everything that's expected of them, but can't seem to make life work out the way we're told that it should. And they don't ask for anything. Most of the time, they just desperately want somebody to know. And I often think about what it takes for someone to sit down and write one of the harder letters that's so personal. Even when they're at the end of their rope, even when you can tell that they had to wipe a tear off the page, there's still something inherently hopeful, though, in what they're doing. It's the hope that the system still works. It's the hope that someone will hear their story and care about what's happening in their life. It is a constant, searing reminder of why what we are trying to do has to work. Now, some of you will go work directly with the people you got into this business to help in the first place. Others of you will work in institutions, like government, with colleagues who are well-meaning, but where bureaucracy and convention tend to divorce you from the very people who drew you here in the first place. Sometimes that can take you down a road where you're fighting with a speechwriter to actually write something along the lines of, this synergistic public-private partnership will leverage innovative microfinancing mechanisms to provide educational services to the city's 4-year-old humans. When you could just say, boom, little Billy gets to go to pre-K now. As an aside, my general rule is, if you're not going to say something to someone in a bar, I'm not putting it in a speech. You should join those institutions, but you should resist that separation. Even if you truly love writing regulations more than anything else, in which case, wow, wherever you go from here, always remember who brought you here, because it grounds you. It's why I stay in touch with a lot of the people whose stories we tell in president's speeches. Some of them have become friends. I watch their kids grow up on Facebook. And sometimes I've seen their lives actually improve because of something we did, which is exactly what this is all about. Now, whenever the president suffers a political or policy setback, you can bet that someone in the media will inevitably call it his biggest crisis yet, White House under siege, or my personal favorite, Obama's Katrina, of which there have been about 20. But I will tell you, for me, it has never been darker than it was in January 2010. There was a special election to fill my boss's seat in the Senate after he passed away, and a Republican won, which left us exactly 1 vote short of Obamacare. The irony was cruel because it was the cause of Ted Kennedy's career. And the president was advised by a lot of people in the White House to set his sights lower, cut a deal to expand coverage to some more kids, and move on. But he refused to go small. He went big. Not for his own sake, not because he was concerned with his legacy, but because he had read too many stories and too many letters to let that mail go unanswered. And he won. And for all the noise and nonsense, there are about 16 million newly insured Americans whose lives are better because he did. That brings me to my final piece of advice. Be afraid to fail. Now, I know you've heard people say all the time, don't be afraid to fail. You should ignore that advice. You should be so afraid of failure that you are willing to do anything to succeed. I say this as someone who works in a town where so much is driven by fear of failure. It takes guts to run for office, and there are good people in both parties with good intentions who fight and claw and suspend their pride to basically panhandle for millionaires at night to win that office. But when they win, a lot of them become afraid to lose. They end up playing it safe, not rocking the boat, not doing much of anything at all. And that's how you get people running for a 5th, 6th, or 7th term saying that government is the problem, not me, send me back there to fix it, without even a hint of irony. And I'll tell you as a writer, I have no fear, or at least totally crippling, crushing self-doubt. I told Samantha Power, speechwriter, that I was doing this today, and he said, just tell them not to become writers. Because there is nothing scarier than a blank page. It taunts you because it knows you have to shape it into something with a purpose. A rally, a eulogy, a State of the Union address. But that's the thing, fear of failure is a powerful motivator. I've been in the White House for 3 whole years before I was asked to write a speech that would earn any national attention. And I pretty much stayed up for 60 hours straight to make sure that it was good. Fear of failure keeps you sharp, even if it keeps you sleepless. It's why for weeks before something like the State of the Union address, my car is the last one in the parking lot every night. I'm afraid all the time. I'm afraid to let my colleagues see that I'm not as smart as they are. I'm afraid to let the president down. I was afraid to do this commencement for fear of being exposed as a lousy speechwriter. Though if you didn't like it, I'm just going to blame it on the fact that it's really hard to concentrate in Union Square Park. And I still succumb to that fear sometimes. Not too long ago, the president and I were working on a speech that we knew would get a lot of attention. Now here, let me point out that he is really the chief speechwriter in the operation. He's a better writer than I am, which he will never hesitate to point out. And if he had 48 hours in a day, he would write his own speeches. But he doesn't. So I view my job as to gather his thoughts and try to give him a draft that he can work with, one that says what he would if he had the time. So 2 days before this big speech, I handed him the first draft in the Oval Office. A half hour later, his assistant called and asked me to come back. Now typically when that happens, it's not just so he can tell you how awesome you are and send you on your way. And that day he started out by saying, look, this is well written and I could probably deliver it as it is, which almost never means he actually wants to deliver it as it is. But we have 2 days, so let's make it better. And then he gave me one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten, one I wish he gave me years ago. You took a half swing on this. Take a full swing. And he was right, I did take a half swing, because I was afraid of what people would think and how they would react. And that made me forget a lot of what I learned over the years, which is that we have never regretted going big at the White House. We have never regretted provoking uncomfortable conversations. We have never regretted poking holes in the BS that pervades most political speech and commentary. So I let my fear of failure rein me in, and usually it's what propels me forward. And I did not make that mistake on the second draft. My point is, fear of failure forces you to push yourself. And if there's one place worth pushing yourself, it's public service. Because people are depending on you. Complacency is the enemy of change, and we already have enough complacent people in power. The halls of power are full of the timid. Separate yourselves from them. You will always regret taking a half swing. I promise. You will never regret taking a full swing. If you're going to strike out, you go down the swing and not by watching the pitch go by. There is something worse about failure. Public service is a tough profession, whatever flavor of it you guys head into. All the theory you learned here is about to run up against cold, hard practice, and I promise you, anytime you try to change something, you will run into a chorus of cynics who tell you that you can't do it, it won't work, we don't do things this way, just fall in line. You should ignore them too. Nobody remembers people like that. I don't care if you're delivering clean water in Africa, devising a new traffic hazard in Wichita, or starting an educational nonprofit in Tribeca. People remember those who take great risks and do big things on their behalf. Cynicism is easy. Anybody can do it. Change is hard. That takes us. Today's a day all about you as it should be. It's harder and it's well-deserved. But take a minute to think today about who it was that set you on this course in the first place. Not a policy or a theory, but the people that policy or theory would help. If they sat down and wrote you a letter about their lives, think about what it would say. And hold on to them. Stay true to that. Tell their story and then work to change their story. To wrap it up, one of the things I love about my new fiance is that she still takes photos of the White House like she just got there. And my hope for all of you as you enter or re-enter your careers is that you do it with those same wide eyes. Do it with the same sense of wonder you had when you first set foot in New York City. Because public service is important. It matters. Remember who brought you here and take a full swing on their behalf. Because whether they know you or not, they are still hopeful that somewhere someone is listening. So get out there and show them that we are. Good luck, congratulations, and